Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Happy Cybertruck week. It's only been about 4 years now in the making. Also, for those interested, at the end of this episode, I am going to comment on the sponsorship and advertising situation as of late, as I've seen some of you have commented on that. First up today, the negotiations between Tesla and India are still underway. This is all still subject to change, but Tesla could invest up to $500 million if they get the import tariffs reduced to 15% for up to 12,000 cars. Then Tesla could invest up to $2 billion if the lower duty is approved for up to 30,000 vehicles. According to a person in the know, the Model 3 and the Model Y are likely to be priced at $45,000 to $51,000 in India if the concessional import duty is granted. So this is the latest proposal we have from Tesla, but the word is that the Indian government is actually trying to lower the number of cars that would actually be eligible for these lower import duties. Over the weekend, Elon did confirm that FSD 12 is indeed rolling out to Tesla employees. Elon did clarify that not all Tesla employees automatically get free access to Tesla's FSD. He said that's not accurate. You have to be on Tesla's quality assurance team. And commenting on FSD 12, Elon did say it feels human. Now, yes, there are many terrible human drivers, but of course, the nature of this comment would lead you to believe it feels smooth like a human because remember, FSD 12 end-to-end neural net is trained on other human drivers, the best of the best. A big question remains, will Tesla actually remove the beta labeling from FSD 12 as Elon said they were going to do in the past? Then a question would arise, would this affect how Tesla recognizes that deferred revenue when it comes to FSD? That is, once this version is available to all customers. So it's looking like Elon's prediction of 2 weeks may have been an actual 2 weeks. Now, I would assume that this is only going to go to vehicles with hardware 3, as in the past, Elon has said that hardware 4 would lag by about 6 months when it comes to FSD 12. However, the truth is this situation is evolving hour by hour, so really anything is possible. Given that Cybertruck is expected to have hardware 4, that would lead me to believe Cybertruck will be rolled out with a variant of FSD 11, but again, anything here is possible. I think it's worth a reminder, given the magnitude of this update, there's a chance this stays with only employees for a few months before actually rolling out to real customers. I have no special source on that one, I just don't want us getting over our skis here. We also had Ray for Tesla sharing a Chinese source that said the prep work for rolling out FSD beta in China is currently underway. Translating that image, it says Tesla's FSD is considered to be entering the countdown stage in China. On November 23rd, Tesla China also responded to reporters on this issue, saying it is indeed being pushed forward. I would add, this is indeed very vague. My biggest question here, whenever Tesla does get around to launching FSD in China, will it be version 12 or will they stick with version 11? Tesla has also applied for a patent that deals with training vision-based vehicles with both real-world and simulated data. It's important to note, once a patent has been applied for, it can then go through a series of iterations and changes, oftentimes becoming more narrow in scope. While Tesla may indeed be looking to have exclusive access to a technique like this, Tesla also may just be preemptively stopping any other automaker from applying for a similar patent that in the future could actually hinder Tesla's ability to continue doing what it was already doing. I'm no expert, but the idea of supplementing vision-based system training with simulated content is indeed very broad. Lastly, I think it's worth noting, over the years, Tesla has indeed filed other patents that were more defensive in nature rather than trying to get some sort of monopoly over a system or product. I did want that to serve as a segue for something very interesting that was happening over the weekend. This was shared by an OpenAI employee. They said, "I've trained a lot of generative models, more than anyone really has any right to train. As I've spent these hours observing the effects of tweaking various model configurations and hyperparameters, one thing that has struck me is the similarities in between all the training runs. In other words, how they actually adjust the weights of the neural nets doesn't make that much of a difference in the end." They said, "Trained on the same data set for long enough, pretty much every model with enough weights and training time converges to the same point. It implies that model behavior is not determined by architecture, hyperparameters, or optimizer choices. It's determined by your data set and nothing else." Then, when you refer to Lambda, ChatGPT, Bard, or Claude, it's not the model weights that you're referring to, it's the dataset. Replying to this, Elon said data is the spice. There are many different rabbit holes we could dive into, but my one main takeaway here is that over the long term, it really is going to be the companies with the access to the best data sets that have the best chance of success. Elon also shared a link to this article. It's called The Bitter Lesson. Definitely worth a read if you have not already. But the simple takeaway, the only thing that matters in the long run is the leveraging of computation. Basically, after decades of AI research, we've had these researchers trying to inject their own human knowledge into these models, whether it's adjusting the weights or the parameters. But at the end of the day, real advancement in this field boils down to compute power. This bitter lesson can be summarized by breakthrough progress eventually arrives by an opposing approach based on scaling computation by search and learning, and that these researchers trying to inject that knowledge or that human input into the models may help in the short term, but in the long run it plateaus and even inhibits further progress. So now we're staring at two massive advantages that Tesla has. One, when it comes to real world data, if the dataset is indeed the actual spice, and two, the compute power in terms of actually leveraging that data. On this topic, Chamath said it's pretty clear now. This is a race to own data that is valuable in fine-tuning and reinforcement learning from human feedback. You should expect foundational models to be largely commoditized and largely free largely soon. This part, of course, is certainly speculative. Then he said, non-obvious datasets of huge value in this end state, Tesla's real-world environment data. One area I'll be studying in the weeks ahead is how synthetic data or simulated data is going to be compared to real-world data. We've known that the competition can't copy Tesla's real-world data because Tesla has a fleet of 5 million vehicles constantly gathering that real-world data. So then, comparatively, how difficult would it be for the competition to start coming up with their own synthetic data? What are the challenges involved? And then, hypothetically, if they were to have a comparable amount of synthetic data to Tesla's real-world data, what would the pros and cons be, and what would the differences be? And when you loop in a possible partnership between Tesla and xAI, which brings Grok into the equation, that is trained on X's real-world live data, which is in a sense the real-time consciousness of all of those humans that are actually using X, that becomes a massively valuable data set. I just find it comical we still have so many analysts splitting hairs over a couple thousand deliveries here and there and the timing of that, when the real conversation should be around Tesla's real-world data paired with its computational advantage when it comes to Dojo and all of the billions of dollars it's spending on buying compute hardware from NVIDIA. Compare that Tesla package to what Ford, GM, Toyota have in terms of real-world data or compute power. And I know it hasn't really played out yet in terms of Tesla's revenue or profitability, but over the next 5 to 10 years, where do people think this is headed? Just to set the stage on what's going on with Tesla in Sweden, Nicholas could not share the source on this, but he said an IF Metall employee has been threatening Tesla's staff, saying things like, "You must strike or you'll never work at a unionized workshop again. It's for your own good if you want a job in the future." Which, if true, would certainly confirm the notion that these unions in Sweden have mafia-like tendencies. I think that'll make this news even sweeter. Tesla filed a lawsuit today against the Swedish Transport Agency over a workers' strike that has effectively blocked the delivery of license plates. This agency had turned down Tesla's request to pick up the license plates itself and also declined to send them via distribution channels other than PostNord, against whom Tesla actually filed a second separate lawsuit. Spoiler alert, on the same day we have Tesla already now allowed to collect its license plates from the manufacturer Scandinavian Motor Center. Further, if the transport agency does not comply within 7 days, a fine of about $94,000 US awaits the agency. When it comes to the lawsuit that was filed against the transport agency, already there has been a decision in which they approved Tesla's lawsuit. At least for now, in the separate lawsuit against PostNord, there has not been a decision made yet. However, in response to the Tesla victory that they can now collect their own license plates, Elon did say, "Thank you, Sweden." Here we have some data from Cox Automotive showing us October days of supply for inventory by brand. The inventory average days of supply in the green, 67, compared to Tesla down at 16. How many times have we seen articles written about Tesla's major inventory problem? Toyota, with the lowest reading of 33 days of supply, is still double where Tesla sits at 16. Reminder, Tesla does not have an inventory problem. A new battery storage project in Queensland has been registered and officially connected, with work on commissioning to begin soon in Queensland. This project includes 80 Tesla Megapacks and is set to be fully operational in early 2024. This project was part of the state's response to an explosion at a coal-fired generator, which convinced the country's most coal-dependent state to accelerate its switch to renewables and storage. This video is getting a ton of attention over the weekend, so I just wanted to add some clarity here. The Model Y was going up this ramp on one tire, showing the rigidity of a Tesla vehicle and potentially a structural battery pack. Then they showed what was happening with this Toyota pickup truck. A lot of folks were just blindly using this vehicle to say how much better a Model Y is compared to that Toyota pickup for whatever reason, but this ramp is actually a real test. It's the RTI, or the Ramp Travel Index. It's a way of measuring a vehicle's suspension articulation abilities, and usually this is used in an off-roading context. The more it can actually articulate, the better it can handle off-road scenarios, keeping more wheels on the ground for longer. The actual test measures how far up the ramp a car can go before the back driver's side wheel actually lifts off the ground. You then divide that number by the wheelbase to get the RTI score. There's a lot more we could talk about here, but I saw plenty of different interpretations of this video, so thought that context might help a little bit. A Reddit user shared some images of Giga Berlin slowly transitioning into a hangout spot now that we have V4 superchargers, the lobby now open to the public, and these images of Giga Berlin with some Christmas decor. Not only do they have trees and lights right outside of the entrance, they also have some curling sheets set up right outside the factory. Fully Charged posted on X saying Tesla has won 5 of the 15 categories for the Fully Charged Awards. This was the first year for this award show, and the nominees were selected after a large-scale survey of the Fully Charged show audience. Tesla took home the award for the Best EV Charging Network, the Best Innovative EV Manufacturer, Best Energy Efficient EV, and the Best EV under certain price thresholds for the Model Y and Model 3. Only 5 out of 15 though. Tesla needs to do better. Green the Only said software update .44.1 will bring us the front camera getting a washer too and a button to activate it. This is what the button may look like. He also said Apple Podcasts may be added to media playback with different playback speeds available. He also said Tesla's cabin camera could now be used to enable or disable HOV lane use. On that camera washer, it remains to be seen how it's implemented, but in the past we have seen this image on a Tesla Cybertruck. And BMW has already implemented a feature like this where it has the logo pop out to shoot out some soapy water. We had this Norwegian source Motor naming the Tesla Model 3 the best car purchase of the year. I thought this was funny. They said the expert said just wait when beginning to bet on electric cars, saying Tesla is going to die, but the experts die first. Adding Tesla's position is stronger than ever. We won't go into the details because most of it was them speaking highly of the refreshed Model 3, but I will include this below if you want to read more. Tesla China analyst on X said Tesla charging will make a major announcement tomorrow. So could this be a new partnership where another automaker uses Tesla's supercharger network in China? Hopefully we find out in the next 24 hours. Over the weekend, if you totally checked out and you didn't see all of the lines around the country where Cybertruck was at Tesla showrooms and the people that were lining up taking pictures and videos. Now, yes, it was Black Friday weekend. A lot of these shopping centers are naturally going to have more people than they otherwise would. However, this is a perfect indication of the halo effect that the Cybertruck should have for Tesla's brand. To all of us, this is like the oldest news around when it comes to the Cybertruck, but we have to remember how many millions of people still don't even know that the Cybertruck exists. Let's not forget, when it comes to vehicles, a lot of people just want something different. Yes, of course, utility affordability comes into the mix, as does pricing, but having something that the rest of the crowd doesn't is a very attractive proposition, and the Cybertruck is going to be exactly that. OMG Tesla also posted this video showing us 2 new Cybertruck features. You may have missed the first one, but it was the Cybertruck wake up light sequence. So here it is again. Pretty cool. This video also shows the Cybertruck suspension raising right when the person got in the car. I'm not sure if it was a setting that they had pressed or if it happened automatically for their personal profile. Either way though, hopefully on Thursday we learn about even more unknown Cybertruck features. Here we have potentially an even more exciting patent that Tesla has applied for. This one has a lot to do with the interior cabin camera and its ultimate functionality. It would be to use the passenger's positioning and facial expressions to do certain tasks. Example, let's say the driver is unresponsive. The vehicle would be able to call 911 and/or drive you to the nearest hospital. Or on a lighter note, how about things like greeting you by name, automatically knowing what your personal profile is, adjusting the HVAC controls to target certain parts of your body, mark an unrecognized occupant as a new user, and generate the request to set a new profile on display infotainment head unit. We don't need to go through all of the use cases here, but I think you get the idea. This has many different applications. Last week, we heard the word out of Thailand was that Elon and Tesla were going to put their Thai plans on hold. Fast forward to today, we have Thai financial media saying Tesla's willingness to establish a new factory in Thailand is there, and they plan to invest at least $5 billion. This from a recent interview with Thai's Prime Minister Sveta Thavisin. The only tangible data here we got was that Tesla's senior management will visit Thailand this week to discuss potential site selection for a new factory. We have Auto News Europe saying it's safe to crown the Model Y as Europe's top seller for 2023, even though there's still 2 months to go, implying that the lead is insurmountable. They said the Model Y finished January through October with a 15,000 unit sale lead over the second place Dacia Sandero. The Model Y would be the first electric car to finish the year as Europe's #1 seller. It would also be the first mid-size car, the first premium car, and the first non-European car in the modern era to do the same. It's not a done deal yet, but this would be a major accomplishment, and I would add the Dacia Sandero costs about $15,000 US. How about this one? VW's brand chief is now confirming what most of us have already known. Volkswagen's original brand is no longer competitive, owing to high costs and low productivity. With many of our pre-existing structures, processes, and high costs, we're no longer competitive as the Volkswagen brand. They said their $10.9 billion savings program will include staff reductions, of which the full details should be known by the end of the year, and they said we need to finally be brave and honest enough to throw things overboard that are being duplicated within the company or are simply ballast we don't need for good results. It's one thing to have retail Tesla shareholders say something like this now for months, if not years, but it's an entirely different thing to have VW's own brand chief saying the same thing publicly. Bloomberg NEF saying battery pack prices have resumed their long-term trend of coming down after their increase last year. According to an industry survey, the average pack price fell to $139 per kilowatt hour this year, down 14% from 2022. We also have the CNEV Post saying that the supply and demand balance point for lithium is expected to occur by the end of 2024 or 2025. The simple takeaway, especially in China, right now there is still actually oversupply. As if Ford didn't have enough headaches, we now have 400 Ford dealers that have dropped out of the Model E certified program since the initial enrollment numbers. It turns out Ford also now wants its dealers to carry very little EV inventory on their lots. In a legal battle in Illinois, the state's motor vehicle board determined Ford broke the law by requiring dealers to make big investments in return for the ability to sell EVs. In response, Ford has reduced the number of chargers it requires at dealers, it's pushed back the deadlines for those chargers, and they've slashed training costs in half. Now it's not just Ford, but a non-trivial percentage of its dealer network that is also backing further away from EVs. We're not going to get political here, so no worries. Just so you know though, today Elon has been in Israel visiting the Prime Minister. A quick anecdote from Stellantis, they said they may have to change their strategy strategy if political and public opinion tends toward fewer EVs. Another example of legacy OEM plans changing like the winds. The official Cybertruck account on X just posted this year at Cyber Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time, presumably the beginning of the event. Rivian is now offering leasing for the R1T in 4 states: California, New York, Florida, and Texas. They did say the $7,500 tax credit would be applied to the lease payments. A U.S. labor board has dismissed claims that Tesla illegally fired employees working on autopilot software at Giga, New York to put an end to union organizing. The NLRB tossed out a complaint that was filed back in February by the Union Workers United. A quick word on advertising and sponsors as of late. So in November, YouTube completely changed their program when it comes to ads that are placed in YouTube videos. Before, creators had the ability to manually pick where we wanted to place ads. In November, we're still supposed to have that option. However, each time when I place manual ads for the last few weeks, YouTube has automatically been overriding my selection. I've gone back and forth with their customer service now for weeks. Nobody seems to have any idea what's going on, despite videos and screenshots showing the exact problem. This has also resulted in me making about 25% of what I'm used to making. And look, I'm not at all complaining. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm grateful to be able to do this. I know that signing up for this type of work results in up and down income. That's all fine. But I'm sharing all of this just so you guys know a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes. And look, I'm not at all trying to replace any of that income with more sponsors. It just happens to be holiday season. And the truth is, Electrified probably wouldn't exist the way it does today without the help of sponsors over the years. Some of these companies that have been great to me, I do try to give them spots around the holidays because they always ask for them. Just know this busier sponsor season won't last. And to all of you that are not interested in supporting the channel in this way, remember, there are always timestamps below. I make it as easy as possible to skip ahead. And to everybody else that knows and accepts that this is just part of the social media game, and especially to those of you that do interact with the sponsors, I cannot thank you enough. I'm telling you, I'm not looking for a pat on the back here. I'm just letting you know I have said no to hundreds of quality sponsors over the years because I am always weighing the pros and cons of providing for my family and providing a great viewing experience. For now, I really don't know how the YouTube ad placement is going to go moving forward. I am hoping that I have the ability to place the ads manually again, but as I said, for now, they're all being overridden right when I upload the video. Anyway, I hope that provides at least a little bit of context, and just know I'm always listening to what you guys are saying. I appreciate all of the feedback, good and bad. Just know I'm always doing my best to balance things, and after the next few weeks, once we get through the holiday season, sponsored videos should return to normal. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. You can find me on X, linked below. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.